सजानंद स्वामी महाराज नि जय, हरिप्रसाद स्वामी महाराज नि जय, प्रेम स्वरूप स्वामी महाराज ni jai jai jai. So today, like Nito Bhai just said, we're going to be talking about Samjan. And we're focusing on this very powerful and broad term for this first session, and it can be taken in many different directions. But the focus I'm going to be taking it with is with this specific Vachnamrut that has an extraordinary message that I want to explain today. So this Vachnamrut is Prakran 1, Vat 292. And to preface it, I want to explain that the way Vachnamrut is written, or the way that this scripture was formatted, is a question-answer format. So essentially, a yuvak or disciple in the sabhas of Bhagwan Swaminarayan would pose a question to which Bhagwan Swaminarayan would then answer it, and various sons would then catalog and, I guess, they would record these incredible guidances that we can now use in our own lives. So this Vachnamrut starts with the question, after the great Satpurush becomes Paroksh, which means he leaves his body and returns to Akshardham, will he continue to take care of his followers like today? To which Bhagwan Swaminarayan replied, is the great likely to become Paroksh at all? He may not be seen as he is today, but he will take care as usual. And if he does not take care, how will the universe continue to function? So, before I begin breaking down this Vachnamrut piece by piece, I want to circle back to Samjan. And the piece of it that I want to explain is Nishtha. So, the aspect I'm going to be talking about of Samjan is going to be Nishtha, and that faith and devotion towards a Pragat Purush. So you can see where this correlates to the Vat, where we're talking about how a Satpurush lives, and no matter which form they take, they're going to be present, and they're going to be there for us. And because of that, we need to maintain our nishtha in them, and we need to continue our faith and devotion for them because they're still there. Bhagwan is still there for us. Now, to add more context to this Vachnamrut, this was the time period in which Bhagwan Swaminarayan had left his physical form and passed on to Gunatitanand Swami. So at the time of writing this, the disciples and members of the sabhas were questioning what happens once Bhagwan Swaminarayan leaves. And what will happen? Will we remain pious? Will we have that care and love from Bhagwan anymore? So while looking at it in retrospect, we can say with certainty that Gunatitanand Swami definitely filled those shoes. He was still Bhagwan. And Gunatitanand Swami was the spiritual successor to Bhagwan Swaminarayan, and he most definitely exemplified that care and that continuance of Bhagwan, which we have seen in countless prasangs throughout the years. So even throughout Bhagwan Swaminarayan's life, we see that many times he was praising the greatness of Gunatitanand Swami, because it was like Bhagwan Swaminarayan was almost establishing his legacy through this Gunatit Sant, and he would continue it through Gunatitanand Swami. So now we can get to the common question that has coursed many people's mind throughout the last few years, which is that is Bhagwan still going to be here after Swamiji had passed, after Swamiji's physical form had passed, right? So we are fortunate enough that we now have Prem Swamiji with us, and we are fortunate enough that we have Bhagwan with us through Prem Swamiji. But how exactly do we know? Where is our concrete evidence that Bhagwan is still here for us? Where is our affirmation that we're seeking, that Bhagwan's still going to care for us and that he's still present through Prem Swamiji? Well, that's where this Vachnamrut plays a powerful role, because it applies to today, and it will still apply for forever, even after this day. So, in essence, this Vachnamrut is emphasizing that Bhagwan never really goes away. And to answer the questions of how do we know that, well, because the universe is reliant on Bhagwan, we know that the universe will not continue without Bhagwan, because everything will cease to exist. Life does not function. Air does not circulate. Everything comes to a stagnant close, essentially, because quite literally, Bhagwan is our universe, and Bhagwan is the one who is guiding our world every single day. So that's why when we hear the phrase, Swamiji Gayajnati, it is literal, because if we are alive to hear the phrase, that means Bhagwan is present in our lives. So we rely on Bhagwan for so much in our lives that it isn't just possible for him to be gone just like that. It's like an eternal and essential aspect of our lives that we can never get rid of. And we can solidify this through one of Swamiji's favorite bhajans. It was Bolya Shri Harire. And many of you already know the line I'm going to be referencing here, but we sing this song or this bhajan so often, and it references a really important line. Mari marji vinare koithi taranu navatorai. So in English, this is basically saying that Bhagwan controls everything. And in this case, he is saying that a mere twig, something that seems so destructible, so easily movable, he is basically referencing it as immovable and indestructible. So without Bhagwan's say-so, you can't even break a single twig. So how can we expect ourselves to talk? How can we expect ourselves to walk, eat, let alone function as a human if Bhagwan's not there? Because no matter what we think or believe or even see, Bhagwan is there for us. Because if we're able to do all these human functions, that means Bhagwan is there controlling it for us. So it doesn't matter if you believe in Prem Swamiji or Swamiji, because either way, they are there, they are caring, they're the ones guiding us, they're the ones who are present, and they keep us here. If we put it into perspective, it's like telling someone that the sun doesn't exist. You can't deny the sun, for example, so whether or not you believe in him, you still are graced by God. You are still prosperous because of Bhagwan, and you are still on a path to success because of it, whether you can see it or not. Because at the end of the day, e purush gaya nathi. So this brings us to Maharaj himself. So Bhagwan Swaminarayan's Ashirvad. And he mentioned that no matter what, he will always be present on earth, eternally through a sadhu, and that is without any negativity, no maya, nothing. And that was Maharaj himself's Ashirvad, because Maharaj knew that over the course of centuries, life will change, physical forms will change, yet the one constant throughout everything, throughout all of his existence, is going to be his presence and his impact on the devotees of the world. So essentially, what we're showing here is that the Shakti and power of Swamiji is still on earth. Whether we see it or not, it still exists. And I personally have been fortunate enough to be in this environment at this mandir where I can understand this concept and see that Bhagwan is here, and not just for me, but for everyone. One of my favorite things to experience was watching Swamiji talk. And one instance in particular was this video from a Shibir where hours and hours had gone by, sessions had gone by, and they were approaching the end of this Shibir. So at the close of the Shibir, everyone was feeling fulfilled, but they were tired. You know, the entire ambience, the environment was was losing its peak morale and excitement. So it was kind of dying down, right? But I still remember the way that Swamiji got on the mic, and he was the last person to talk, and the entire mood of the Shibir changed. In that moment, he was explaining prasangs and stories of fun experiences, and the crowd would erupt in laughter. The rows of people would be filled with smiles, and there was always something special about watching him. It was almost like there was some glow that Swamiji brought with him every time he talked. And I even used to tell Niramabhai in the back that you can just tell that wasn't a human speaking through Swamiji. That was a Bhagwan. And there was something special, and I will eternally enjoy those moments where I get to watch that. And that's mostly because to this day, I see that same shift in the audience when watching Prem Swamiji. Because once again, it's different. There's something different about watching it. When we're watching his Paravani, you can just tell there's something powerful there. The way he can talk about our Atma, our Man, our Shakti, everything he talks about, it's like there's an infinite well of knowledge being pulled from, and that's what he's sharing these experiences from. Because that is what Bhagwan has. It's an infinite source of guidance for us, and every day I'm fortunate enough to experience these paravanis, these prasangs, and even the small encounters that Prem Swamiji has with us. And I know that when I see Prem Swamiji, I'm looking at Bhagwan, because Bhagwan has not left or returned back to Akshardham. He is still here with us. So to close it off, I have a story that kind of demonstrates this a little bit better. So a few years ago, Alba and Divyabai, they were on Vicharan with Prem Swamiji, and they were about to catch a flight. So usually when you're on Vicharan with Prem Swamiji, some people will go ahead and they will prepare whichever location they're going to, just to ensure everything's okay for Prem Swamiji's arrival. So in doing that, Prem Swamiji sent Alba and Divyabai out to the airport, and he specifically tasked them or told them that before you catch the flight, make sure you stop and get lunch. Now, Al and Divyabai were already a little bit late, so they were thinking that instead of stopping by and eating lunch, they'll maybe grab some food at the airport. So instead of listening to Prem Swamiji's request that they get food before getting to the airport, they found themselves at the airport, but it turned out that there was no food available for them, and they couldn't find anything to eat no matter where they looked in the airport. So Prem Swamiji, being Antaryami, he knew that this encounter would occur, and he used it as a way to explain to them a lesson. So Prem Swamiji, before he left for the airport, he had 2 tiffins already prepared because he knew this encounter would happen. And when he got to Divyabai and Albai at the airport, he asked them how the food was. So obviously, they did not have any food. So the situation, you may question, how did he know? But even though we can question this, the main purpose of this story isn't just that Prem Swamiji knew this would happen. It was that Prem Swamiji is taking care of us. Because Bhagwan's always going to be there for us once again. He's always there to care for us. He's always there to guide us, teach us. Every single aspect of our day is reliant upon Bhagwan because he's taking care of us. And that could be physically, mentally, spiritually, anything. So even for the smaller things in life, we need to remember that we got to keep that nishtha in Bhagwan, in our Pragat Purush. And even the things we neglect in our lives, like eating, for example, in this situation, we know that Bhagwan is there to lift us up in those cases where we can't exactly bring ourselves to it. So even if the food isn't accessible, we know that Swamiji's got a plan for us, that Prem Swamiji is going to be taking care of us, and we know that we can rely upon someone in our day-to-day lives. Sajanan Swami Maharaj Ni Jai.